Call our meeting to order. Please stand. We're going to have our scouts lead us in the pledge, and then I'd ask everyone to stay standing for a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Roll call.
Chairman Quackenbush.
Present.
Legislator Dyman.
Here.
Legislator Whites.
Present.
Legislator Beniak.
Here.
Legislator Duchessis.
Here.
Legislator Wheeler.
Here.
Legislator Isabel.
Here.
Legislator Kuchis.
Here.
Legislator Kelly.
Present.
Privilege of the floor. At this time, public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, I would just ask that you state your name and speak. Anyone? Hearing none, we'll close public comment. We'll move on. We have no presentation tonight. We thought it was this month, but it's actually next month. Approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. We've all had a chance to look. Is there a sponsor and a second to approve the minutes as presented? Barbara? Roy? A discussion, additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain? That carries. Approval of the budgetary transfers. You've all had a copy and a chance to review. Is there a sponsor and a second to approve the budgetary transfer? What is that, Alex?
I'll make the motion.
Alex, second, anyone? Joe? Okay, all those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Unfinished business? None, new business? We have resolutions. Resolution number 89 is a resolution appointing liaison for the Fulton Montgomery County Regional Chamber of Commerce. Chairman approved. Need a sponsor and a second. I'll sponsor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ryan, discussion? We actually need to amend this. Didn't have it on my cheat sheet. Number 89. We need to amend this and insert a legislator's name.
I'd like to add Martin Kelly.
Okay, there's a sponsor that would like to add Martin Kelly.
I'll second that.
Second. Martin, would you accept that? Okay, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The amendment? Against, abstain, that carries. Now, on the resolution as amended. Discussion.
Just a question. When this was passed down to us, I think it was the understanding that this was going to be an executive appointment. The change in decision on that was based on, I'm just sort of wondering what that change in opinion was based on. If I could ask Matt or Doug.
That didn't come from me. I think we forwarded along the request from the chamber, and there was some question as to if this is more of a liaison position, but I don't think I know I didn't talk about it one way or the other. I was just simply passing along that the chamber was looking for a liaison to the legislative body.
If I could, I think, Ryan, what I saw is we're just matching what Fulton County is doing. Fulton County actually has a liaison too, so.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution number 90, resolution appointing members of the Montgomery County Planning Board, Economic Development and Planning, sponsors Whites and Beniak. This resolution will need amendment, and I will offer up the following. District 1, Dean Handy, 226 Crum Creek Road, St. Johnsville, New York, 13452. District 2, which is my district, will remain vacant at this time. District 4, Dino, Polsinelli, Polsinelli, 1298 Burtonsville Road, Fultonville, New York, 12072, and District 9, Keith Kazala, 199 Pioneer Street, Amsterdam, New York, 12010. I had originally in District 2, well, I'll look for a second to the amendment.
Second.
Right. Originally in District 2, I had Keith McGregor, a longtime member of the Minden Planning Board, who was, after I opened my mouth and threw his name out, he decided that he really, it's been long enough and he wanted to step back, so we're still looking there. But I think this would, minus that one, we'll have 8 out of 9 filled.
You still have the alternate numbers.
And the alternate, two alternates.
Now those, I know there was some question on the appointing authority on those. As per the local law, they may be appointed to serve at the discretion of the chairman of the planning board. So that wouldn't be something we would be doing at this point.
So the chairman of the planning board, once that's resolved and they pick their chairman, would pick the 2 alternates. Okay. So we really only have one more job to do, and that's for me to submit a name, and hopefully I can do that for next month. All right.
Chair, I had on my appointment, I had a correction on the address, just a typo. It wasn't a typo, I gave you the wrong information.
Oh.
It's 124 Pleasant Street instead of Skyline Drive.
Still Palatine Bridge?
Yes.
So if there's no further discussion on the amendment, oh, I'm sorry.
I think I may have the same thing for mine. I question whether it's 46. I just would want to clarify that and use it as a typo. I thought it was 40. He's a current member of the planning board.
I got it off the
It
copy
was
sheet.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think we all agree if we do have a typographical error and it's caught later, we can.
perfect. Thank you.
All right, on the amendment, with those 3, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Now, on the resolution as amended, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. All right, resolution number 91 is a resolution adopting a revised 2014 tourism promotion budget. Sponsors Beaniac Diamond. Discussion on 91. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 92 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, tourism program, I Love New York Matching Funds Program, sponsors Beaniac Diamond. Discussion on 92. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. 93, resolution amending the 2014 operating budget. County Executive, Kuchis, Wheeler were the sponsors. Discussion on 93. Hearing none, all those in favor, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I've been reached out by some people and I fully support this, working with the Youth Bureau for many years now. They do an exemplary job. They dot all their I's, they cross their T's, and this will absolutely help the youth in the entire county. So I support this, and there's enough line items. I conferred with the treasurer, so I feel absolutely safe in making this decision. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolution 93? Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Moving on to resolution 94, resolution amending 2014 operating budget, Sheriff's Department, Wheeler Diamond were the sponsors. Discussion. The only thing I'll say is this is one of those resolutions that according, and Doug correct me if I'm wrong, according to our new rules of procedure, because we're changing the budget, it would need 2/3 of us to support it, so 6 of 9
Correct.
would have to.
Correct.
We have another resolution later, which is Resolution 111, which would be the same, okay? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? That certainly has the 2/3 needed. Resolution 95 is a resolution amending 2014 operating budget HEAP. Sponsors were Kuchis and Wheeler. Discussion on 95? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 96 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, EI Admin Grant Fund, Public Health, Wheeler, Diamond were the sponsors. Discussion on 96. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 97 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, lead grant COLA increase, Public Health. Sponsors were Wheeler and Kuchis. 97, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, 97 carries. Resolution 98 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, K-9 seminar. Wheeler, Kuchis were the sponsors. Discussion on 98. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 99 is a resolution amending the base salary, Emergency Management Director, Beniac Wheeler with the sponsors. Discussion on 98. I'm sorry, 99. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 100 is a resolution amending the base salary, Stop DWI Coordinator, Beniac Wheeler with sponsors. Discussion on 100. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 101 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget, solid waste operations and transportation. Wheeler Kuchis are the sponsors. This resolution needs to have an amendment. I believe. The amendment is needed to 101 as follows. Did everyone get this email from Sean?
No, because it's in the backup, in your backup documentation on the internet.
Why don't we, Sean, do you want, I mean, I can run through it, but do you want to, I don't want people voting in the dark on the amendment. I don't know if they've has everybody had a chance or an opportunity to go, or no? The refuse and garbage charges, $2,275,000. That's an increase of $100,000, right, Sean?
Correct.
And that is in A06-3-2130. The A miscellaneous supporting services, it's an increase of $12,000, so it would increase up to $2,135,185, correct?
Correct.
And I'll just run through them, and then if we have questions on each one, we can. The insurances, we needed to add $60,000, which is A01-4-1910-0044-4480. That was $60,000. Maintenance agreements, $8,000. A-06-4-8160-00-4425. And the last was professional services, $20,000, which is A-06-4-8160-004431. I'll sponsor the amendment, at least for the discussion purposes. It would need a second.
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Okay. Now maybe we should, if everyone agrees, we could let Sean go through this, and Sean and or the county exec.
Okay, just going through, when the initial resolution was put forward, it's going to be attention, there is some additional costs that are gonna be incurred with this whole transition of the county taking ownership of the transfer stations. So therefore, that's why these additional lines in this amendment is needed at this time. And I'd be willing to take any questions regarding that.
I'm assuming that, correct me if I'm wrong, when we talk about insurances at 60,000, we still own the property.
That
So this is a
correct.
liability insurance?
Correct.
Okay.
Along with any environmental insurance that we're required to have.
The professional services.
That is, we have been working with Cahill and Associates, the solid waste attorneys, and between Doug, Matt, and the group that's been working with this. And he's been kind of advising us as far as the contracts we've got to do, contracts going between the three counties, and that is for his work. that he's doing.
Now, that 20,000 is spent money, or we're putting that in there expecting to spend it?
Some of this has already been incurred.
All right? And the 8,000 in maintenance agreements are,
As part of us assuming ownership of the transfer stations, we have to purchase the software to run the scales in the scale house. The contractor is manning the scale houses, but it's the county's responsibility to maintain the software, to run the state scales, and communicate with the county computers to be able to do the billing and receiving the funds.
all right, those were the three on the ads that I had. But any other, anyone have questions?
I do, thank you. We are increasing, and I don't have the numbers in front of me now, but we're increasing miscellaneous support services,
Right, and that's an increase of 12,000.
$12,000. The miscellaneous support services, is that essentially the contract with Can-Do?
Part of it is, when you increase, because part of the increase in the revenue line has to do with the increase in the total number of tons. And based on that, as tonnage increases, the amount that we have to pay to both Gotta-Do and to the county to cover the post-closure, that's why you have to increase that as well.
What is the amount that they're getting for, there is no set amount then for the contract that's going to increase if tonnage increases?
There is a set, for example, in Gotta-Do's contract and the contract with Fulton County, it is a set amount per ton that they get paid for the tonnage that goes to.
I'm asking our contract though.
What's that?
I'm asking about our contract.
Our contract with Gotta-Do?
I think, did I understand you to say that it would increase if the tonnage increased?
Yeah, the amount that we pay to Gotta-Do is based on the tonnage that goes through the transfer stations.
Okay, and just one more question, because it's always bothered me since I've seen it, is the way that line item is entitled. Is that typical miscellaneous supporting services? It doesn't appear to be miscellaneous, it's $2 million.
I don't like to use this term, but if you look at most other budgets, for example, if you look at social services, most of their contracts do run through this miscellaneous supporting service, which is, in essence, contracts with outside firms that do work for the county. There's really two lines that really outside contractors get paid for. One is out of professional services. That's where more or less the attorneys, auditors, accountants get paid out of. And really all the other contractors for the county will get paid out of this 4438 line. Like I said, it's up to the board if moving forward, working on the budget process, if you want additional lines added to the budget that break down individual contracts, that can be done. But just to give you the heads up, when we file the reports with the state, everything gets compressed to a simple 0.4.
That's
But
in
it's
the
really
odd.
up to the legislative board if you want to see a blown up budget with a lot more detail in 0.4 lines. Because the extended 0.4 lines, they're self-made at the county level.
Okay, so when you say .4, you're talking about the 4 that appears after the 06?
Yes. No, actually, for example, the 4438, the 4425,
All
those
right.
type of extensions.
Okay.
When the state just considers 0.4 thousand.
I'm still learning this budget. I don't know about everyone else, but I would like to see that broken out a little bit more. Okay.
I have Alex, if Duke is done, I have Alex, and then I have Martin.
Just a couple of questions, Sean. Pertaining to the miscellaneous supporting services, is that basically language that New York kind of recommends?
No, no, first, it's not. That's just a title that was created long ago here at the county. As far as the state is concerned, they just like to see 0.4 thousand contractual expenses. That's all they require.
So for purposes of that particular expense, that line is the most appropriate place to put it, would you say?
Correct, at this point.
Finally, the amounts that we're talking about here, basically it's, these new amounts are just revised estimates of what it's going to cost.
That's correct.
So we're just basically approving these appropriations, and these numbers could change dramatically when we suddenly generate twice as much garbage as we normally do.
And like I said, these numbers are based on estimates only for May 1st through December 31st.
Mm-hmm.
For example, once we do the 15 budget, you're going to see some larger numbers because we're going to be dealing with a full year.
Okay, so
Martin.
To pick up on what Duke was saying, in our next committee meeting, we're going to be working on the policy and practice for the budget, which will allow us to zero in on line items if we so choose. And then the insurance, we don't have to go out to bid, we're just going to tack it on to our current providers.
It will be provided to our current provider this year, and depending on the steps we take for next year with insurance, it's possible they could go up.
Okay.
Sure. Sean, the $60,000 for the liability insurance, is that something new? Didn't we figure that in the beginning with the MOSA figures that Paul got? I assume he got the figures from their operation, and I assume that they had insurance coverage. So is this $60,000 on top of some
Like,
insurance that's already?
There's going to be two separate issues here when we're dealing with insurance. And this is just simply putting the funding in the budget to pay for the insurance. On the county side, we have to have liability insurance because we're going to own the transfer stations. On the side that Paul's working with as far as the post-closure, there's going to have to be some policies concerning the landfills. And that cost is going to be actually split by the three counties.
And the vehicles.
Well, I just assumed that the cost when Paul gave us the price on doing the transfer sites, all that was figured in from the MOSA figures.
It was all figured in, but we have to separate it because the liability insurance that we carry for the county-owned transfer stations cannot be divided by the three counties because that's not part of the post-closure agreement. The only insurances that could be part of the post-closure would be those that are attributable to the post-closure work and the landfills, not the operating and transferring of the garbage, of the counties.
But wouldn't these changes throw off the initial numbers that we were given?
Well, I think part of the problem might be, Terry, is that I included numbers in the proposal if the county was going to run the transfer stations.
Right.
we chose to go with a contractor.
Right.
So the budget that I prepared to run the transfer stations was just totally set aside. That doesn't exist because we decided to go with a contractor. So the budget that I did prepare did have money in there for insurance, for liability insurance, but that whole thing was thrown out when we went with the contractor.
But wouldn't your budget look better now with the added cost on Gadudu's side?
No, this isn't in my budget.
No, your proposal. No,
I
okay.
Like I said, this is, like I said, it doesn't affect the bottom line as far as the proposals that were presented.
Okay.
This is just putting the funding in the budget as a mechanism to pay these expenses.
Okay.
Chair, if I may, I don't have an issue with the software, additional software to run the scales. The issue I did have, and I thought it was decided that we were running the scales, not the contractor. That might be for Matt.
Yeah, that was something that was bounced around back and forth, and part of that confusion was on my fault. I was actually a little confused on that, because in negotiations, we went back and forth. Ultimately, we were not going to do that, and that was actually something that was going to save us some resources, and it worked out better for us. So that is the way it shook out in as tense as this process has been, trying to get this done in a quick period of time. I can bear the blame for that, because I was a little bit confused on that particular portion, just because at one point we were, and then in a subsequent negotiation and meeting, which I don't think I was there for, it changed. So that's where that confusion came.
I just want to take that one step further. The Gotta-Do did not change their contract to staff the scales. If we were to staff the scales, it would have required at least 2 full-time people and 2 part-time people. And the last negotiation we had, that we agreed upon with Gotta-Do, is with the price that they bid, they would staff the scale houses with the downtown personnel.
I understand what you're saying. I just state for the record, I'm very uncomfortable with that. I had mentioned in previous meetings, incidents in Saratoga County where the contractor wasn't so up and up, and not saying anything about Gotta-Do, but to me, it's really not looking after our best interests, but I'll leave that up to the administration to worry about. Thanks, Tom.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we have an amendment before us. So if there's no further discussion on the amendment, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
I'm
Abstain?
opposed to.
1 opposition? 2 opposition? Roy and Duke.
Mr. Chairman, I think I'm going to change that vote to no.
All right, so we have 3. Okay? Is that? All right, on the resolution as amended, all those in favor, or discussion, any further discussion, I'm sorry.
I wanted to, just to state, I'm sure you folks know my view. When we had the election in November, the county, people of the county were looking to revitalize Montgomery County. And when you're taking $2.1 million from the taxpayers of Montgomery County and sending it to Onondaga County, that doesn't revitalize Montgomery County. And it adds to the decay of Montgomery County. And that is something I can't support. And again, I can't support this resolution. And I would just kind of say, I hope we could get together and work to revitalize the county. And from the administration, the department heads, and the legislature, this is a missed opportunity, and I'm sure I don't have the votes, but I just wanted to state my opinion, and thank you.
I just wanted to say that in my conversations with Matt, this option was his preferred option. It also is the quickest way to get a system in place to handle our trash. So I want to help the county executive in any way I can, so that's why I'm voting in favor of it.
All right. If there's no, okay.
One last thing, we do need 3/4. So when I ran for office, I ran to work with us as a group, but I don't want to keep talking about that every full board. And I think that a lot of work was put into this, and I commend the efforts in that. And there's going to be, it's not perfect, but I think it was a job well done, and I do support it. Thank you.
Just to not confuse, you said 3/4.
Don't we need 2/3? I'm sorry, 2/3.
I don't believe, and just so we know
Simple
moving forward.
majority?
On this,
I think it's a simple majority, but I just want to make sure.
This isn't a,
right, it doesn't take money out of fund balance.
oh,
Okay. All right, I saw legislator,
I just wanted to make sure we heard from Sean.
okay.
I just want to clarify something, especially for like Roy and Duke. As far as this miscellaneous supporting services, $2.1 million is not all for Goddard. Over half of this is Fulton County landfill. Like I said, that line 4438 covers both the contract with Goddard and the contract that was signed with Fulton County to dispose of garbage in the landfill. I just wanted to clarify that.
Mr. County Executive.
I just wanted to make, I think one little update that would be good for the legislature to know is, obviously throughout this relationship with Goddard, we're gonna, hopefully they will prove to be worthy of working with us. And, but I will say the first chance for them to prove themselves was their commitment to consider and hire local people, which I have to say they have been doing. They have interviewed most employees. I do anticipate that they will be hiring some local employees to work at the transfer station. So I think that's an encouraging sign. So I do feel that, that is, making an investment in our people. And I think that's a good first sign. Obviously, this is going to be judged over the long haul, but in what we have to judge, so far so good.
Okay.
And just to reaffirm that, I did have the opportunity to speak with a current MOSA employee that was going in and having discussions with Goddard, and I think that's a really great thing to keep those jobs local and ensure that the jobs at least stay within the county, and I'm very happy that Goddard has been pursuing the many MOSA employees that have given years of service to the county.
I just want to remind us, and Joe, I want you to go ahead and say whatever you wanted to because everybody else had the opportunity. And Doug, you correct me if I'm wrong. The resolution is a simple amendment to the budget or to the resolution. And
We already voted on it.
and now we're voting on the resolution, which was just, amending the post-closure manager operate. I mean, it's not really a lot to do with what we're talking about, I don't think. Are we? I mean, I think the discussion's gotten off about whether or not we're hiring gotta-do employees or Montgomery County employees or, and that's, don't want to get off focus, am I right? Or
Well, of course, you should stay focused on
The intent of the
content
resolution.
of the resolution. I think some of the comments were in reference to some of the line items and how the money would be expended.
Right.
I don't know that that's irrelevant to the resolution.
I just want to say that I'm supporting the resolution because I felt that when I was elected to this office, I was elected to increase the county workforce. And I'm very happy that a lot of those employees are being hired, and I wish to support the county executive decision.
All right. Any further discussion on the resolution as amended? Right?
Yes.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain?
I'm opposed.
No, for me too.
1, 2, 3 noes. Terry, Duke, and Roy. Okay. 102 is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget post-closure manager operations. Kuchis, Wheeler were the sponsors. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries. Resolution 103, resolution appointing member landfill management oversight panel. Beniac, Whites were the sponsors. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against,
I'm opposed.
1 opposed.
I
Martin?
have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's back up. Go ahead. I didn't mean to. Go ahead.
Did we come to an agreement, are the other counties also appointing 2 people to this oversight?
There's a meeting Thursday, which I invited Terry to. I don't know about Schoharie. Otsego County is appointing their county treasurer and their solid waste manager, 2 people. We will have hopefully the revised IMA Thursday. My suggestion for this would be we have a special meeting next week. I would suggest we take it up. Cheryl put it out there, there's been a special meeting, just in case, because with everything we've been dealing with on this issue, there's been loose ends that have popped up. And there's a lot of likelihood we're going to have to meet next week to take care of a few loose ends. I think this would be one of those issues we take care of next week, just because the 3 counties to get together, we couldn't do it until this Thursday. So, I mean, I would disagree with this amendment, or with this resolution in its current form. My personal opinion is that we should table it till we have it resolved, and this is an unresolved issue at this point.
I saw Brian and Barbara.
Now, you mentioned a revised IMA. Would that be revising, I guess, section 2, the actual, is that section
That's
going
what
to
we
be?
talked about, because there was a question over whether this was an oversight or administrative panel, and whether oversight was the correct word. Because there's actually going to be creations of budgets in this committee for the future years. So that would, it's not simply just an oversight panel. In addition, Montgomery, this panel is going to be tasked with explaining to the other 2 counties how we're spending their money. So that is why it's my opinion that we should have folks that are running, the day-to-day operations there, because we're going to need to be able to provide good reason to why, how we're spending the money, what we're doing, and so it's not simply just oversight. There is an administrative angle. Also, I know Doug was going to provide an opinion on the appointment here, which I believe he talked to the legislature about. I'm not sure where that stands. So for me, there's a lot of unanswered questions here still that need to still remain.
While I do agree with the resolution, with the current IMA, if we're going to be getting a revised IMA, I would tend to feel that maybe we should table this until next week's meeting to see what that revised IMA language is.
Before you make the motion to table, please, before you make the motion to table, I want to ask Doug a question, because when you make a motion to table, it ceases debate. Can we move?
Mr. Chairman, it doesn't work that way.
What?
I didn't make a motion.
He didn't make a motion.
I did not make a
I'm
motion.
now asking the question. He didn't actually make the motion. I'm asking Doug, because I didn't think we could move a tabled motion to a special meeting. I think it has to be moved to the next full board meeting, but I'm asking, that's the question. I didn't think we could table it to a special meeting. I think it's got to be tabled to the next full board. That's...
I'm going to have to look at the rules for that. The subject, the topic of the meeting next week is solid waste-related issues. Do you happen to have that here? Is that what you have?
Rules of procedure. Yeah, this is the up-to-date version.
Thanks.
Are you looking for Robert's rules, or are you looking for?
No, they're not gonna find that.
I was almost certain that you couldn't move a table resolution to a special meeting. I thought it was the full board.
You're right.
I think it's next full board. And I didn't want to give people the illusion that they,
Yeah.
or the understanding that they could just move it.
I'm just, so we can know for dates, the next school board is meeting.
I don't think you're gonna see anything specific on that point here.
I mean, May 27th, as Cheryl just said, is the next full board meeting. And I mean, I don't know what the time, is it, is it
Like
an
I
issue
said,
to get the,
This is one of those loose ends that we're tying up. There's been a whole host of things that we've been working on. But this is one of those that's still unresolved because we haven't been able to get the three counties all together in one room to go over it. The lawyers have gone back and forth on the IMA, revisions to the IMA. I have not seen those revisions yet. So that's why, and we've had, I think, a pretty lengthy discussion over the issues here are, where does this appointment lie in the current state and in the future state of the IMA, which could be more of an administrative function. If it was more of an administrative function, that would lead to more of an executive appointment. And then secondly, who is best to be on this committee? And I think the legislature has oversight in the fact that everything, all appropriations has to come through the legislature, and we're the county that's doing it. And I have nothing against legislators being on the committee, but my opinion is very clearly, if it's an executive appointment to an administrative unit, then that is clearly an executive appointment. And also, I think, and I would hope that most of you would agree, that if we are charged with communicating to the other two counties of our leadership and the direction of post-closure management, we would want the folks, just like Otsego County, who are doing the work every day, to be there to explain and craft the budgets for future years. So there's still a little bit up in the air, but it looks to me like it's going to more of an administrative and oversight. But the oversight is more so for Schoharie and Otsego because they want to keep close tabs on what we're doing because we're running the operation. So we'll have more information Thursday. Terry's more than welcome. And also, this is an open committee, so any legislator can come in to any one of the meetings. But I think it's critical to have our key players on that committee. So, like I said, we'll know more Thursday, and we can take it from there.
and conferring with Doug here, he doesn't really see anything that would prevent us from going to the special meeting, and our rules of procedure, I do think, say that in the absence of anything clear, we can let the county attorney
You
help us on
already
that.
have a meeting called for the purpose of the general.
We don't
purposes,
yet.
so-
We don't officially have it yet, but I had that under other to discuss it for the 29th.
I see no reason that if the legislature were inclined to do that, to table it and consider it at the special meeting. No, I see nothing that prohibits that.
If that's the opinion of the attorney, I would make a motion to table this until the special meeting next Tuesday, when we will have ideally a revised IMA that we can make a decision at that point.
Okay, so with the motion to table, that ceases debate if we have a second.
I'll second.
All right. On the motion to table, roll call.
Legislator Whites,
Aye.
Legislator Beniak,
No.
Legislator Duchessis,
Aye.
Legislator Wheeler,
Yes.
Legislator Isabel,
Aye.
Legislator Puches,
Aye.
Legislator Kelly,
Aye.
Chairman Quackenbush.
No.
Legislator Diamond,
No.
pass.
All right, that is tabled until, I hope, the 29th. I have 5:30, but we'll talk about it. All right, 104 is a resolution approving real estate and equipment transactions in connection with the dissolution of MOSA and authorizing the county executive to execute necessary documents. Whites and Wheeler were the sponsors. Discussion on 104. Hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt.
I just wanted to just say thank you to Legislator Weeks. We really worked hard on this. We worked together, and it was really a good experience, and I think it balances both accountability, transparency, but yet gives the executive the ability to be efficient, and I think I'm just very proud of this effort. I really am, and I want to thank the legislator for his effort.
Okay, anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstained? That carries. 105 is a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute termination and assignment agreement and access agreement with Montgomery, Otsego, Schoharie Solid Waste Management Authority. Kuchis, Wheeler, sponsors. Discussion? The governor signed the, does everybody know that?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, all those in, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, carries. 106, resolution adopting introductory local law B of 2014, a local law adopting Montgomery County procurement policy, Office of the Legislature. Sponsor and second are Whites and Wheeler. Oh, there it is. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 107 is a resolution naming individuals responsible for purchasing. Wheeler Diamond are the sponsors. Discussion on 107? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. 108, resolution appointing member to the Audit Committee, Office of the Legislature. Wheeler Whites are the sponsors. Does that already have Alex's name?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion, Alex, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution 109 is a resolution approving abstract of audited claims. Wheeler Whites were the sponsors. Discussion on 109. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Resolution authorizing participation in the Mohawk Valley and Niagara County Assessment Relief Act for Montgomery County property owners. Office of the Legislature, Wheeler Whites are the sponsors. Discussion on 110. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, that carries. Our last resolution that I'm aware of is Resolution 111. It is a resolution amending 2014 operating budget memorandum of agreement between the County of Montgomery and CSCA Local 1000, AFS, CME, AFL, CIO. Whites and Isabel were the sponsors. Discussion. I have been made aware tonight by Legislator Wheeler that there is some other language that the negotiating committees did not have included in a memorandum of understanding, which includes part-timers and some funds that will be expended. We are not voting on that because it's not in the memorandum of understanding. I talked with Doug earlier. There's no need to hold us up on this. If those two parties, being the executive, negotiating committees and the union, do agree on something, they can bring it forth to us an amendment. This will allow us to go ahead and get our employees the money that they have coming to them ASAP instead of waiting another month. If it's that important that we get this out, I promise that I'll call a special meeting if we need to. All right?
It was just it's the part-timers, which are also important. It was just a technicality, so we can take care of that next month, or the chairman did agree to call a special meeting. So thank you so much.
Is this future amendment going to require additional
Yes,
appropriation?
yes.
Do we have any idea how much it's going to be?
$15,375.
You know what it is, Alex? It's right now, there's the money that's going to be given to the full-timers for the signing,
Yeah, it's half because.
For part-timers, it would be half of that.
Correct.
Part-timers that are in the CSEA bargaining unit, not. But again, as I looked at it, and I said, I don't see that any place in the memorandum of understanding where it was negotiated. I think it was talked about, I think they agreed to it, they just left it out. The unit voted on that. I don't know that they voted on that either, or was explained, at least we haven't been told. So we just feel to err on the side of safety, it's not included in this. All right? Any other discussion on 111? This is a resolution that would require 2/3 to pass. All right? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? That carries. I have nothing further under resolutions. I do have under other, we're looking at a special meeting for 4/29, which we talked about earlier. It's totally in regards to solid waste. Would 5:30 work? I don't want to squeeze anybody too much. If it needs to be 7 or 6, we just,
I'm unable to attend anyway, so it doesn't matter what time.
Me too.
well, let me ask you this. I certainly don't want to leave anybody out. Does it have to be, it's got to be before the end of the month?
Well, the thought process was, as we found in the last, and I think these guys have been working very hard and attest to, is that there's been some things pop up that you don't necessarily anticipate, and we wanted to have you guys ready, before the end of the month, should something come up where we need a legislative action. Now, we might not, but we thought it'd be good to bring up tonight. So it doesn't have to be Tuesday, no, but ideally before the end of the month.
You work, does it work, does the 30th work? When do you,
First.
you-
The first is good forward.
There may not be an absolute need to have one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance we might not need to do it.
well, if you don't set it now, then you're not going to have one until after the 1st, if you did need one. I don't think you got enough time, do you?
Well, it's I mean, I don't mean to get into your legislative role, but it's, I think, 72 hours that you need to have prior to a legislative meeting.
Oh.
So we do have time to, if we want to give it a couple more days, but it's strictly your call. I would like to see that at least we have something tentatively in place, should we absolutely need it. And I understand, this is a unique situation. We're not going to go through the closing of a public authority
And you only have, if you're not doing it this week, you only have Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then you're into the 1st.
Yeah.
Does Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday does not work for either one of you?
No, Thursday is good for me.
I mean, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, Doug or Barbara can't on either of the 3 days, so I guess it doesn't, we want to make sure we would be able to have a quorum now.
If we had a Tuesday, I would prefer the 6 o'clock time than 5:30. That doesn't inconvenience anybody.
So if need be, do you want to set it for Tuesday at 6? I don't care if we do it at 7. So 6 is okay? I mean, I don't anticipate it would take an hour, would it?
No.
So why don't we look tentatively at scheduling April 29th at 6 o'clock? Is that,
Thank you.
Tom,
May I ask you something?
oh, well, if we tabled that resolution, we have to have a meeting.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
Do-
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you want if there was no other reason to have the meeting for something that had to be done in anticipation of signing before April 30th. And that's the purpose of scheduling the meeting. And the other counties are doing similar things. It may not be the exact same day, but all of them, we've discussed this in our numerous conference calls as far as providing an opportunity to get any last minute issues done. I would suggest that the board discuss the idea of if there's no other reason to do it, do you want to do it for that resolution, or would you want that resolution to then roll to the May meeting?
Well, I think
Because
the
you know
idea,
at least two of you are not going to be here.
yeah, I think the idea was to have that come up at the special meeting.
Right.
So, well, let's just, 4/29 at 6 o'clock.
So then you'd be definitely having it, we would
I
be
think
saying.
so.
All right, that's,
Okay, I don't
I
have,
won't be here, but I think you know my sentiments anyway, and I think that's, the reason we're having this problem is because the county executive needs the ability to get this done. And when this came out of a committee, it already had 5 votes, but it really was wrong-headed. And that's the problem, that's why we're having this problem now.
I actually agreed at the committee meeting that maybe we should table it, but the county executive was optimistic and thought that it might be resolved by the full board. So I absolutely am in favor of the collaboration. So I want to work together. I am for doing that. I regret that I won't be here, but I support what goes forward. Thank you.
okay.
just an observation I was going to throw out there. I, if I may.
Go ahead.
Being that the 3-county meeting to discuss this and some other issues is scheduled for this Thursday, I would wonder if the other counties, if the document is amended, if the other counties would act on those appointments by the end of the month or not. I don't know the answer to it. I just throw it out there as a question.
We don't know. That issue, we've all been really focusing in each county on our transfer stations. We're all doing something very similar. Each county has partnering with a private company, and then we're circling back on the post-closure on Thursday to finalize a lot of that. We won't know until we can start working on it.
I think seeing everybody's talking, I think it's really not about the IMA, it's about, let me start off by saying I'd like to thank Terry for volunteering to serve. I think you do a great job. I think that it's whose appointment is it, that's what it comes down to. And according to the charter, I think it's the executive's appointment. That's my opinion.
Ryan?
Just a thought on that. As in why I specified that given the possibility of a revised IMA, I'd like to table. If the IMA stands as is, I strongly believe that this is a legislative appointment because it's not making any administrative decisions. And to build off of that, the first resolution of the evening, Resolution 89, the legislature appointed a liaison to the Chamber of Commerce to keep us informed. As the IMA is currently written, it is a liaison body to inform the governing body, which is us. So I guess I sort of, and I'm not a lawyer, but I guess it, to me, looks like the same thing as the chamber liaison with the current IMA. Just a thought.
Okay. I have nothing else. Does anyone have anything else to share?
I just wanted to make everybody aware, I know it went out by email today, May 8th, 10:30 to 1:30. NISAC, Steve Aquarium and Patrick Cumming will be coming out to discuss the Red Line Charter in the Legislative Office at the Annex Building. Also, tentatively, I am looking at the second Tuesday in May, which is the 13th, of having a Charter Committee meeting, pending further discussion and putting together an agenda for that.
Is it possible that is Steve and Patrick going to be able to come to the Education and Government? Only because if some people can't make it to the May 8th, I just think that they're so beneficial with their input that if people can't make it to the daytime meeting, it would really be an asset if they can, and they're so amendable.
I agree with the
If they can.
sentiment. Those were the times and dates that they provided that they could come. So I don't know necessarily that they're going to be able to fit that into their schedules. You know, I know it is a daytime meeting and that doesn't work for all of our schedules. That was something that we felt was the best possible date given the restrictions from their schedule.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
I had something else. During the educated government meeting, I brought up where I thought it'd be a great idea to have our chairman create a committee of the whole for the charter and have legislative White's be the chairperson of it. And wondered if we were going to do that.
Ryan and I talked about it. I think I had a discussion with Doug, or maybe I didn't, but a committee of the whole is called by the chairman.
Right.
And chaired by the chairman of the board, because it's a committee, it's in essence a meeting. If we wanted to create a different committee and let Ryan chair it, that's fine. I just don't think it would be a committee of the whole, right or wrong. It would be a.
Technically, I would agree with you on that. You could create a separate committee to deal with the charter and put all 9 members on it if you wanted. Or if you had a committee of the whole, I suppose you could relinquish the presiding over it to someone else. Ryan or
And I mentioned that to him. I could call the
You could
meeting,
do
have
that.
it, and then have him. But the one thing that I really want to keep focused on and in mind, and I think that the procurement policy is a great example of the county executive, the chairman of the Education and Government, chairman of the board, who else was, and I think you really, because this charter is, and Matt, we've talked about it a lot, I would hate to go at it one way by us and another way by the executive, thinking that, you know, we need to work together to make sure that this is, and I really like the way that it flowed with the procurement policy, and I don't know why we wouldn't want to continue that as long as it's flowing good. But again, I'm not opposed to, Matt and I could create an ad hoc committee. Is it the reason, let me ask this because it wasn't there. Is it the reason to have everybody on that? Is there a reason for that, other than just to keep us all in the loop, or?
Well, at the meeting, we just thought that we thought everyone should have a voice in the committee.
I'm open to, you know.
One thing, reading through our rules, the chair of the legislature has the power to create special committees and name solely legislators as voting members of that committee. However, they can also designate citizens that can contribute counsel. In that case, if that were the route we take, you as chair take, I'd like to see our county attorney, Doug Landon, and our county executive, Matt Austinford, as 2 of those citizens contributing to the dialogue.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to it. I just think that we need to have us all in the same room when it's happening. But you do have a government education committee that you're the chairman of now, and government is the charter.
I think the thought was last week is that it only has 5 voting members. And it was desired among many of the legislators to have a committee in which everybody is a committee person. And that was, I think, the thought behind creating an additional committee.
We can do that. Why don't, Matt, why don't we talk about it a little bit? And I don't think that would preclude us from having other members on it, right? and then we'll call it, whatever we'll call it. Motion to adjourn, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstained? We're out.
Yep.
Thanks for coming, Scouts.